Yes, guys, welcome back to Cossy's Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy, greeting you on a Tuesday morning with Arsenal news, Arsenal transfer news, and the latest around the club. Congratulations to Granit Xhaka, Switzerland beating France. It was a midfield masterclass from Granit Xhaka. And many people say I do not like Granit Xhaka. Honestly, I think he's average as a person. With that performance yesterday, many people are gonna come out, hit on me on Twitter, hit me on WhatsApp, saying, you know what, Cossy, you said Xhaka was average. Yesterday that was a 50 million or a 60 million performance. Yes, I do understand players do have those performances, but for me, it's a tournament. It really doesn't mean anything. It was a great performance. One of the best performances we've seen from Granit Xhaka, and Switzerland progressed through to play against Spain. Of course, in these Euros, I'm supporting Spain, so getting Switzerland wasn't the bad, wasn't the worst of draws. But anyway, congratulations to Granit Xhaka. I think that was a very great performance, winning man of the match in that one, and France being dumped out despite their very great performances. So in this one, Arsenal apparently agreed personal terms with Ben White. 120k contract is what we are looking at in terms of salary per week. That is we're gonna discuss that report, as well as Kian is signing his new contract. We will talk about that as well. I think he signed his new contract a couple of days ago, and he came out and said how beautiful it is to be at a club like Arsenal. We will talk about that as well. Emile Smith-Rowe, Aston Villa are much interested in getting Emile Smith-Rowe, and they did make a second bid, by the way. They made a second bid, so please do smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and of course check out OneXpert. Link is in the video description. Use Cossy Media as your promo code and you'll be able to win up to $130 as well as 200% bonus. So let us get into it. Let us start with Aston Villa and Emile Smith-Rowe just in a minute, because yesterday they made a second bid. Aston Villa, they made a second bid for Emile Smith-Rowe. Now the first bid was rejected. It was around 25 million euros, 25 million pounds. The currencies are closely the same, but it was pounds. 25 million pounds is the first bid that they made as Aston Villa for Emile Smith-Rowe. Arsenal turned down the offer, and they said we are not open to selling. We do not want to sell the player. And I think what many people get wrong is a couple of reports came out saying the agent of Emile Smith-Rowe is trying to use the media and this deal to his advantage, is trying to push Arsenal maybe into giving the player decent money. But this is real, because Aston Villa apparently came back with a second bid, which is around 30 million pounds. They added another 5 million pounds, but Arsenal still adamant they are not selling. The player is committed to staying at the Emirates Stadium, which is something very interesting as well. And the other thing that you also need to know or talk about is Arsenal is also committed to the player. So both, I think it's just a matter of time that Emile Smith-Rowe and Arsenal find a consensus, find that common agreement, find that common ground, and everything's gonna be fine. The only problem I see in this deal, it is taking too long. That's my only problem with this deal. Edu and Mikel Arteta, they're taking so long to do this deal, and in the end, you're gonna find yourselves in a tight situation. You're gonna cause predicaments that shouldn't happen. This is a deal that should happen very fast. Kian signs a new contract. Emile Smith-Rowe should sign a new contract as well. That should be a done deal, no matter the situation. Of course, as we talk about done deals, we have one for Ben White. Personal terms agreed. Ben White was offered 120k contract from Arsenal. The player did not object, and his camp didn't object. There are only two problems with this deal, and I'm gonna say this on camera. Arsenal have sealed Ben White. It is a done deal. We don't need to waste a lot of time. We have so many other transfers to do. We don't need to waste a lot of time on Ben White. It's almost a done deal, unless you want us to spend the whole summer signing one player. For me, this is a done deal. The same as Albert Sambile Konga. They are. There are some nitty-gritties in these deals. For example, in the Ben White deal, United came in at the 12th hour, and they were saying, you know what, we want a Ben White, we want to sign Ben White, but they didn't want to pay the money. They didn't want to pay the 50 million pounds. And Brighton, and of course, you give them the respect they deserve. They have groomed the player, and he's made it with England this season. So in the Euros this season. So you know what, you give them their credit. But if you're honestly gonna speak about it, if you're speaking about the fact that Arsenal has agreed personal terms with Ben White, a price has also been agreed between Arsenal and Brighton, and that's gonna be 50 million pounds with add-ins. Stories were coming out yesterday that Brighton are planning to change their mind, because the player has not officially signed with Arsenal. He's still in the Euros, and this is one of the things, and this is one of the obstacles to this deal, that the player is still playing in the Euros. So Brighton have a lot of they have a lot of time to negotiate with other clubs and so on and so on. So what I think we should do is do this deal, get this agreement in principle that the player will sign for us. But I think the rest is done. The rest is a done deal. It's a deal off the radar. I think the moment England, well, look, I don't pray it happens, but the moment England drops out of that Euro 2020 and the journey is cut short, what they're going to look at is Ben White's transfer at that moment. So Ben White, personal terms, it's reportedly 120k per week for a 23-year-old defender. I think that is okay. When he turns 25 or 26, you could give him a contract renewal, probably take him at 150k, 170k. I think it's a decent contract. If you're 23 years of age, from Brighton, where you're getting 30k, per week, and then you get the opportunity to get to get 130k, that is almost, not even almost, that is 100k plus on your salary. That is 100k increment. That is absolutely just picking gold on your way. So I think Ben White, like we said in the first place, personal terms were never gonna be a big problem. They were never gonna be a problem. So personal terms agreed. 120k is what it's gonna be. Is what it's gonna be getting, and it's gonna be partnering William Saliba or Gabriel Magalhaes in that in that defense. Of course, there are so many questions with William Saliba. Rob Holding apparently is now gonna leave the club. I don't think we will sell Saliba and Rob Holding. I think one of them will leave and the other will stay. And in my opinion, I think the player that should leave is Rob Holding. He signed a new contract last season. That means he has some years on his contract. You sell him at this point in time. For me, you sell him, you're gonna get decent money. If you're signing Ben White for 50 million euros, I think Rob Holding has also been a little bit decent this season. He's played a couple of games for Arsenal, so we could get some good money, probably something like around 25 million pounds. You could get that money. Of course, it's not going to come easy, because the clubs that are gonna target Rob Holding are gonna be the likes of Newcastle, West Ham, but I think they can do the 25 million pounds. So for me, if we sell Rob Holding and stay with William Saliba, I'll be very, very happy with them. So personal terms are agreed. We don't have an issue with Ben White and personal terms, and also Emile Smith-Rowe's bid was turned down as well. So Kian Tierney, in the other news, also signed a new contract with Arsenal, and that is a done deal. Of course, there's so many rumors, and this is what I want to talk about. There's so many rumors of how Arsenal would love to have Kian Tierney as their captain, and how Mikel Arteta is planning on making making him his captain. I think this is love. This is purely brewed from these are substances of emotions brewed from the fan base. Well, look, if Kian Tierney decides to get a new contract or sign a new contract with Arsenal, well, I do not have a problem with that. He signed a new contract. He's one of my best players. But the fact that many people are saying that it's gonna become an Arsenal captain, they have seen the leadership skills in him. They have seen how good he is, and basically for me, it is the fans are trying to say, you know what, we have the captain here, Mikel, or whoever is in charge of picking our captains. We have not got anything from Aubameyang last season as a captain. He doesn't speak. He's not leading by example. He's literally a player that is that is to be carried on the shoulders of other players, so that one cannot be a captain. So they're literally trying to tell you, you know what, a player with good performances, a player with character, a player with a lot of zeal and a lot of attitude, good attitude, should become our next captain. That's what they're trying to say, and I absolutely do not have any issues with that. So Kian Tierney signs a new contract. Will he become Arsenal captain? There's a very big question on that, but look, I think he has the qualities and he has the ability. Now Arsenal are also part of the clubs that are looking to sign Renato Sanchez and Goncalves, both from both talents from Italy, and this is as per 90 Min. They have said as part of their recruitment drive, Arsenal also have eyes on 22-year-old Sporting CP midfielder Pedro Goncalves. Renato Sanchez and Goncalves both fit that profile. Young players under 25 with potential to develop and improve, as well as increase in value. So one of the things I talked about when we were apparently given the 250 million pounds this summer to spend, I mean, which I think we're gonna spend ridiculously if you're gonna bring in Aaron Ramsdale, from Sheffield United. How the hell do we go for Aaron Ramsdale? How the hell do we do that for 30 million euros? That is absolutely ridiculous. But one of the things I did talk about was the fact that we were looking at bringing in young players at least less than 25 years of age to develop them and sell them in the next in the next seasons or summers. And one of the things that we also talked about was Arsenal also trying to develop a squad that could actually deliver in the coming years, probably in the next 2, 3, 4 years. And of course, if you look at the players like the players we're looking at, players like Goncalves, players like Renato Sanchez, they fit that profile. They're less they are below the age of 25, and of course, they have that talent, they have that ability, they have that promise to develop into great players. But the question for me, we have been linked with so many players. Where will we end? Because the likes of Bissouma have been linked as well. The likes of Renato Sanchez, the likes of Pedro Goncalves, they're very expensive players. I think Renato Sanchez, with Renato, Lille is asking in excess of 80 million euros. With Camavinga, I think Rene is asking in excess of 70 million euros. Pedro Goncalves, that could be in excess of 60 million euros. So where does it end for me is the big question. But anyway, that is the morning update. We'll come back. Fabrizio Romano has spoken about Arsenal transfers, and they have to digest that throughout the day. So I hope to make around 7 videos today speaking about only transfers. So make sure you're tuned in throughout the day. We'll be speaking much about Arsenal transfers. Love you so much, and make sure you hit the like button. Check out OneXpert. Link is in the description, and use promo code Cossy Media when you reach their website.